Attorney Salex Aliboga, the Dean, CPU College of Nursing, for inviting me to be a part of Philippine Nurses Association Iloilo chapter on this second Ilonggo Day. I'm happy to be part of your program today. Again, Attorney Salex, thank you very much for inviting me. I'm talking on the topic human resources management during COVID 19. And my name is Gabriel Ortigoza, CPU College of Nursing, class 1991 graduate. And it's a quick presentation. I was given 45 minutes to finish this presentation, and I'll do my best to dissect the important part of human resources management in this amount of time. And let's start. People constitute an organization's most important and vital factor in its success or failure. So everything starts and ends with the people. The most important part of the organization is its people. I shared a picture here with my classmates um, when we have our CPU Global Reunion in Los Angeles. And this, I think, is a beautiful representation of people in an organization. Look at their beautiful faces, their smiling faces, holding red plastic bottles or plastic cups. The organization may have good plans and efficient fiscal control system, but may yet be a failure by employing wrong people and not motivating them. The important in organization is the motivation. People work because they're motivated to work. And whatever systems or plans you have in the organization, if the people are not motivated, then we have a problem with the performance. And this is the work of management on leadership to influence and motivate its people to perform their task related activities, to perform the respective function and responsibilities in an organization or a company. 5 M's in organizations. The challenge of management is not so much in its money, machines, methods, and market, but its men or its people. I share with you the picture, the photo taken during my graduation ceremony at the University of the Philippines with my classmates in Master of Management. And I would like to think that this photo represents the 5 M's of the importance of 5 M's in organization. But there are only 4 M's in here, 4 men, but it's only a representation of the important part of the organization, the people. Human resources management is defined as a formal system designed to manage people in an organization. So when we talk about HRM, it is a formal system. We also have informal system, but in organization there must be a human resource division or human resource office that will deal on its personnel. HRM comprises of managerial and personal operative functions vital to accomplish organizational goals and objectives. When we say managerial functions, it composes of the four important processes: the planning, organizing, leading, and controlling. When we talk about planning, it is a process of identifying objectives and how these objectives can be attained. And when we make objectives, it must follow a SMART form. SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. Now, that's for planning. And when we go to organizing, we make sure that we put things in its proper order. If this things A thing is on this spot, then put A things on that spot. If the B thing is on this spot, then we put this B thing on this spot. So we have to organize. That is the essence of organization. Um, Next process is leading. Leading is a process of influencing men or the people to perform task related activities of an organization. The purpose is to attain organizational goals and objectives. So if you are a leader, you need to influence, you need to motivate your people to work towards the attainment of the mission. And the last important process in management is the controlling. We have to control organizational resources, make sure that everything is on track towards the attainment of the mission. Now, the personal operative functions are divided into six major groups, and this includes the procurement, development, etc. Basically, it has recruitment, selection, placement, training and development, promotion, demotion. It talks about wage, salaries. It talks about labor relations. It talks about union. It talks about compensation. It talks about retirement or separation from the organization. So those items will be divided into six major groups under the human resources management operative function. What are the objectives of HRM? First, provide stable employment, equitable compensation, desirable working condition, and opportunities for advancement for employees. I am sharing here a photo taken sometimes in 2000 or 2001. And in this photo, I am standing at the back. I'm the third one saluting. And my role here as a captain in the Corps Professor, my role is aide of a general. I'm a military aide or aide de camp of a general. And in this photo, we are receiving a newly assigned general as superintendent in the Philippine Military Academy. And that is General Adan on the right side, the one in green uniform, the one with guests standing on the right side, and the other one on the left is General Purificacion, and he is the Dean of Corps of Professor, and I am a member of the Corps of Professor of the Philippine Military Academy. HRM objective number 2 is create a climate conducive to the development of each employee by his needs, interests, desires, abilities, and willingness to take additional responsibility. So, as a personal manager, it is your responsibility to create a conducive climate for work, a conducive climate for development of interests and desires of your employees. In this photo I'm sharing with you was taken sometime in late 1990s, I think 1999 or something, sometimes in that time. I'm shaking hands with AFP Chief of Staff General Angelo T. Reyes. He is a four-star general, a member of PMA Class 1966. And on his right is Vice Admiral De Leon. He's Mista from PMA. When I say Mista, it's a classmate, referring to a classmate. And he's the current superintendent of the Philippine Military Academy. When we say superintendent, he is the president of the campus, of the camp. And on my left side is Captain Otik. He is a member of PMA Class 1990. He is a pilot. and I guess he is now out of the service and working in the United Nations as also as a pilot. The third objective of human resources management is to ensure vitality and growth of the company. This is the role of a personal manager to make sure that the personnel or the people are active and energized to work. And the fourth one is deliver enlightened leadership to ensure maximum work satisfaction for each employee. When we say enlightened leadership, there is a clear direction where our leaders or our leader is directing us. Once we know our job, once we know our direction, we feel satisfied and we feel happy because we know we are going to that direction and we know our job in performing our task. The next one is define clearly for each individual the responsibilities of his or her position to make his or her best contribution to overall organizational goal. So once the individual or the employee clearly identify or knows the responsibilities, then that person can perform the task assigned to that person, to him or to her. In this photo, I'm sharing with you my photo with my sister, Sadie. She's also a nurse, CPU graduate 1989. And we work at the same hospital. We call it Kaiser Permanente in Sacramento, California. But on this day, I am wearing a different uniform because on that day, I am performing a function of an educator. I work as a um, clinical educator at Sacramento State University, College of Nursing, School of Nursing. And also, I'm also an educator at the University of California, Davis School of Nursing. But on this day, I was bringing my BSN students to Kaiser to perform their clinical exposure. So my role is different. I perform as a teacher, and my sister performs her duty as part of the management. She is one of the managers of Kaiser Permanente, and she works at the intensive care unit in Kaiser. So we have different roles, and we know our roles, and this is what the objective says about clearly define clearly for each individual the responsibilities of the position so that he or she can best contribute to the overall organizational goal. Let's proceed to the main topic of this HRM, which is the operative functions. And as I mentioned earlier, HRM operative functions are divided into six major categories. And these are procurement, development, compensation, integration, maintenance, and records. In this photo, I am sharing with you the members of the Corps of Professors of the Philippine Military Academy. From the front is our dean, a general, and then followed by full colonels, and then lieutenant colonels, and then major, and then captain. So I was standing at the back, and I'm the most junior member of the Corps of Professor when this photo was taken. And I think it was taken sometimes in 2000. So that's a very nice photo with members of the Corps of Professors. Procurement is the determination of manpower needs to analyze each job to determine the nature of the work, the qualifications necessary, the nature and amount of training required, the amount of supervision necessary. Procurement has three major subsection, and it is recruitment, selection, and placement. I am sharing with you the picture taken sometimes in 2001, and I am surrounded by Army personnel assigned in Central Mindanao, particularly in my town of Mlang in North Cotabato. On my left is the officer. He is second lieutenant. I think he graduated at PMA year class 2000, and he's one of my students at the PMA. Now at the time he is the commanding officer of the company, and I asked him to secure the venue of PMA entrance examination, which is Southern Baptist College, just to make sure that the examination goes smoothly. And he and his teams are very much willing to provide security to the examination. So every time I go conduct entrance examination, I coordinate it. It's either with the armed forces or the police to secure the venue, because PMA entrance examination, the examination papers need to be secured, and sometimes we don't want the leakage to happen during the examination. We want to protect the integrity of the examination. Let's go back again. Recruitment. Annually, the Philippine Military Academy um, recruits an average of 10,000 youths to take the entrance examination. And out of 10,000, the first 1,000 are directed to report to AFP Medical Center in Viluna Road, Quezon City for physical examination. And out of that, um, for 1,000, only 400, the first 400 who are physically fit to join the cadetship will be sent to Fort Del Valar in Baguio City. So those are part of the selection process of PMA cadets. And then they will be placed in the academy, and after 4 years, they will be, if successful, they will be commissioned and called to active duty in their respective branches of service of their choice. It's either Army, Navy, or the Air Force. Development. After an employee has been selected, recruited, and placed, he or she must be developed to better fit the job and organization. So let's talk about the military example, and then we can go to a civilian organization example. In the military, after graduation from PMA, they will be assigned to their respective branch of service. As I mentioned earlier, the Army, Navy, or Air Force. In the Army, they'll be trained in the basic officers course. The same with the Navy and Air Force. They have their own basic officers course. Um, and then if they want to go on specialization, like in the Army, they want to go to Scout Ranger. They want to join the Special Forces. They want to take airborne course. They want to specialize in ordnance, responsible with explosives. They want to specialize in intelligence. They can do that in their respective field. And also in the Air Force, if they want to join the flying school, then they have to go to LIPA for flying school training. And some officers are non pilot. They are in the office or assigned in the office work in the Air Force. In the Navy, they have also different specialty, and one of the specializations in Navy is the Navy SEAL. Before they called it SWAG, and it is a hard training, difficult training. I think in the entire armed forces, they said the training of the Navy SEAL is the hardest. Um, on their culmination day, or week. They call it a hell week. They have to perform survival tests, and one of the tests given to them is to swim a distance of Cavite and Ross Boulevard. So if you survive that test, then you will become part of the Navy SEAL. So those are the development or training and development given to the employees or officers and personnel of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. In a private institution like the hospitals, there is also specialization. If you work at ICU, if you work at the operating room, if you work at delivery room, if you work at emergency room, or if you work in med surge or telemetry, there is specialization in certain every department or unit. So if you want to specialize in uh, uh, case management, there's also a department for case management or discharge coordinator. So there are different trainings on each department or unit that will enhance your skills in performing your function as a nurse. Compensation. Compensation is part of the transaction between an employee and an employer that results in an employment contract. It refers to all forms of payment going to employees of all levels arising from employment. So, when you apply for a job and you get accepted, you sign a contract, and in that contract is a compensation. How much you get from the company? It's either salary or hourly basis. Usually in the US, if you work as a nurse, you are being paid in an hourly basis. Kaiser Permanente, where I work in Sacramento, the pay or compensation is based on the contract agreement between Kaiser Permanente and the union or the California Nurses Association, or they call it association. And for a new grad employee, the starting pay starts at around 50 or $55 per hour. If you are in the work for 5, 10 years, then of course your salary, your pay goes up. And average for 10-year, 15-year nurse, regular nurse, they're paid like $85 per hour. If you're on call, no benefits, you'll get like around $100 per hour if you work at Kaiser Permanente. That's based on the contract between the association and the management. In the military, there is also a salary standardization law. A second lieutenant is getting around 47,000 a month in the Philippines. And of course, in the flying school or in the Air Force, they have additional uh, flight pay. They call it flight pay. Or sometimes if you are assigned in um, area like Holo or Tawi-Tawi, you are also receiving loneliness pay. So there are additional pay to your salary if you work in the armed forces and based on your assignment. Compensation, and then let's move to integration. Integration is the act or process or an instance of integrating such as incorporation as equals into society or an equal organization of individuals of different groups. In here, I am sharing a photo of mine with my three other fellow when we joined the PMA Corps of Professors. And this picture was taken at PMA in Baguio City in front of Melcher Hall. The back building is the Melcher Hall, the main academic building of PMA. I am standing on the leftmost side because I'm the most junior among the four. The rightmost officer is Captain David Isaac. He is a member of PMA class 1988. And the next one is Captain Baldasso. He is a member of PMA class 1989. The next one is Captain Climaco. He is a member of class 1989. And the fourth one, of course, yours truly, Captain Gabriel Ortigoza, a member of CPU, College of Nursing, class 1991. I am so lucky to be appointed in the Corps of Professor of PMA. And I am proud to tell you that I'm the only um, CPU alumnus that became a member of this prestigious Corps of Professors of the Philippine Military Academy. I am the first and I think the only one until now that has been a part of the Corps of Professor. Hopefully someday we get more CPU alumni who join the armed forces or join the PMA and be part of the Corps of Professors of the PMA. So when I say Corps of Professor, that is the military professor assigned at the PMA, and they can retire uh, in PMA. They don't need to be assigned in other unit or uh, assignments of the armed forces of the Philippines nationwide. They are assigned permanently at the PMA. At this time, I think some of the member of the Corps of Professors are assigned at Camp Aguinaldo, where the main office of the Corps of Professors is now located. Before it's called the Corps Professors PMA. Now it's called the Corps Professors AFP. It becomes AFP wide. So the main office is in Camp Emilio Aguinaldo in Quezon City, but the bulk of the members of the Corps Professors stay at PMA because that is where the academy is located. Maintenance has health, safety, and security. Let's talk about health. Most of the companies offer health insurance to the employees as part of the benefits. This benefit includes medical, dental, and vision. At Kaiser Permanente, we enjoy this kind of benefit. We are not afraid to get sick because we are covered by health insurance. It is hard to get sick if you don't have insurance. It is very expensive to be hospitalized in the United States of America. Likewise, same is true in the Philippines. If you get sick, most people don't have health insurance. They pay on their own, and it's very expensive. We have field health. Hopefully, the universal health care law will be fully implemented. And I think the main goal of that is to shoulder, the government has to shoulder everything, and the people don't have to worry to pay for their healthcare services. And hopefully, people working at the field health will work with integrity and not steal money from the field health because it has been happening, and our prayer is to stop corruption in the agency so they can perform their mandate to give a health service to the Filipino people. Safety and security. According to Abraham Maslow, safety and security are next to physiological needs, which is which underscores the order of importance. Everyone needs a secure and safe place to thrive in the work environment. So, what are the physiological needs of a person? Food, clothing, and shelter. That's the first level, the important one. The second level is safety and security. There are five levels in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Just go ahead and review your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But safety and security is part of that, the second level, and we need to be safe in our work environment. We need to be secured in our work environment. This photo I'm sharing with you was taken sometimes in 2010 when we performed a medical surgical mission in Bohol. I'm wearing a Kaiser scrubs in there, but I'm holding M16 rifle. It so happened that the battalion commander in Bohol was a good friend of mine, and I met him in during a medical mission, and he invited me to join him for a dinner. And he is a good friend, Captain Lacurom. That time he was a lieutenant colonel, and he is now a general in the armed forces of the Philippines. In fact, he just retired from the army. He is a PMA class 1985. He is the one who recruited me to join the academic team at PMA. We were both assigned in PMA 1995 to sometimes, I think he left PMA before year 2000. I left PMA in 2003. He recruited me to join the academic team as guest instructor for management. He went to UP take his Master of Management, and it so happened I also took my graduate school at UP, University of the Philippines in Baguio, and there he invited me to join the academic team. And from there, PMA recruited me to join the Corps of Professors. So I resigned my commissionship in the Nurse Corps and joined the Corps of Professors of the Philippine Military Academy. So that's the story of my transition from being a nurse to a military professor at PMA. Records, audits, and research. There are three objectives for this uh, operative function of management. First is develop a good system of record keeping. Now we have electronic records. At the hospital, I think every one of you is familiar with EMR, or the electronic medical record. At Kaiser, we're using the um, EMR for all our patients' record, and it's very uh, helpful in doing our charts, in doing our activity for the patient, because everything is there. We can read the chart, we can open the computer and read the chart, give medication, scan the barcode, scan the patient, make sure that the patient is identified properly using those 5 or 8 rights to prevent a medication error. By the way, medical errors, 40% of medical errors from medication. So be careful in giving medication, because 40%, great bulk of error happens during medication pass. Second objective, formulate a checklist for annual personnel audit. Third objective, carry out research on various subjects of interest to the organization. Records. Keeping financial records is a necessary chore, but it is often difficult to know which documents to keep and for how long. It is advisable for the company or individual to keep your record, especially the tax record, to keep it for 20 years, because sometimes there is an audit and they will search for records up to 20 years. Some organization, they have their policy on records, when to keep it, how long to keep it, and what documents to be kept. So just double check with your organization's policy on record keeping. Audits. Audits are an independent appraisal of an organization's accounting, financial, and operational systems. Two major types of audits: external audit and internal audit. When we say external audit, these are the contracted audit or auditors coming from outside of the organization. And when we say internal audit, these are the auditors employed by the organization. If the organization is big, Usually, they contract external auditors to check the records, and most of the organization has their own internal audit. In the Philippines government, we have the Commission on Audit, the COA, and they are embedded in different organizations. At PMA, we have COA personnel assigned to PMA. Their job is to make audit, of course, to the financial records of the academy. And in some private organizations, they hire auditor or external auditor, or they have their own auditor in their company to do the same. Research is used to evaluate practices and performance. It is a systematic and scientific process of collecting and analyzing the information and drawing conclusions for decision making. It seeks answers to improve performance. Remember, you're doing research because you want to improve something. You're doing research because you want to discover and develop and improve something. So this is research. In the picture I'm sharing with you is the front cover of my book or my dissertation. When I was in PMA, I made a study on leadership styles of department heads and the performance of faculty members at the Philippine Military Academy. And I published this book, and this is the front cover of the book I'm using in this photo. Let's go to the interesting part of human resources management. This is called the legal environment of HRM, and this section is divided into major categories. The first category is the equal employment opportunity. Title 7 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, as amended in 1972, it forbids discrimination in all areas of the employment. So if you are being discriminated because of your race, because of your color, because of your language, then you can file a complaint at the Equal Employment of AEOC Opportunity Commission. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and file your complaint. It's searchable. You can Google it and then type EEOC, and then it will open. The website will open, and you can look for the complaint section, file your complaint, and the federal investigator will contact you and the person or the company or the hospital you complain against. And it's uh, easy to fill up the form. The next one is age discrimination in Employment Act. It outlaws discrimination against people older than 40 years old. So if you are 40 years old or above and you apply for a job and you were not accepted because your age is 40 and above, then you can file a complaint in the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission for violation of the law on Employment Act. Executive Order 11246 of 1965 requires employers with government contracts to engage in affirmative action. Affirmative action is dealing with those individuals who were once not allowed to, let's say, to vote. Like, for example, the African American. Before, they were not allowed to vote, but because of this law, they are now part of the right to suffrage. And during this general election, a lot of African American, especially the women, participated in the election because they want to change the system. They want to be heard, so they participate in this democratic process. And next is Pregnancy Discrimination Act, specifically outlaws discrimination based on pregnancy. For example, if you are a pregnant woman and apply for a job and you were not accepted because of your pregnancy, then that's a violation of the law. And if you are employed and you were discriminated and you were terminated because of pregnancy, then that's a violation of this law. American with Disability Act specifically outlaws discrimination against disabled persons or person with disability. You cannot do that. And if you do that, that's a violation of the law. Next one is the Civil Rights Act of 1991 makes it easier for employees to sue an organization based for discrimination. So, as I mentioned earlier, go to EEOC, fill up the form, and submit it. It's easy, it's free. The photo here I'm sharing is my photo when I participated in a movement, a strike, sponsored by the association or the California Nurse Association. And this is protected by the Constitution because we are allowed for a peaceful assembly to voice our sentiments against the company or even against the government. And it is protected by law. Compensation and benefits. Fair Labor Standard Acts establishes minimum wage and mandated overtime pay for work over 40 hours per week. Equal Pay Act requires that men and women be paid the same amount for doing the same job. Family and Medical Leave Act of 1993 requires employers to provide up to 12 weeks of unpaid leave for family and medical emergencies. This is called the FMLA. That is 3 months medical family leave without pay. Next is labor relations. National Labor Relations Act establishes procedures by which employees can establish labor unions and requires organizations to bargain collectively with legal formed unions, also known as the Wagner Act. You can search it, you can Google it to read further. Next one is Labor Management Relations Act or the Taft-Hartley Act. You can research and search on those acts in Google. Health and Safety. Occupational Safety and Health Act mandates the provision of safe working conditions. So OSHA. So there must be the company must provide protective equipment, personal PPE, personal equipment, personal protective equipment for employees, especially if you are in a direct patient care. For example, I'm sharing here my photo with all my PPEs because at that time, this was taken in June or July, second quarter of this year, where first wave of coronavirus hit the U.S., particularly California. And I'm wearing my N95, my face shield, my gown, and of course my gloves. I'm hiding it. So the company has the responsibility to provide those PPEs. In summary, we were able to speak on the most important part of human resources management, which is the operative functions. And these are the procurement, development, compensation, integration, maintenance, record audits, and research. I'm sharing with you my book on human resources management, which I published October 28th, like less than 1 month ago. And it is available at Amazon. You can just search amazon.com /author Gabriel Ortigoza, all in small caps and one word, Gabriel Ortigoza. Again, that's Amazon /author Gabriel Ortigoza, and then click the search, and it will open up the my Amazon page, and you will see 3 books that I authored in there: the Viewpoints, Human Resource Management, and my leadership book. And in conclusion, if the bottom line of the organization is to get results, it must hire the right people. Again, I would like to reiterate that in human resources management, if the bottom line of the organization is to get results, it must hire the right people. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you for listening. If there's no question, class dismissed.